Hare Krishna. Nice to see you. It's been too long.
It's never too long.
It is for me. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Page number 10 in the songbook. We're reading the first three translations on this page. We can read together. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance with the torchlight of knowledge. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and of all the other preceptors on the path of devotional service. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas and unto the 6 Goswamis, including Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami, and their associates. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Advaita Acharya Prabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu, and unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all his devotees, headed by Srivas Thakur. I then offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, Srimati Radharani, and all the gopis, headed by Lalita and Vishaka. Next two also. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna on this earth, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Our respectful obeisances are unto you, O spiritual master, servant of Saraswati Goswami. You are kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Dev and delivering the Western countries which are filled with impersonalism and voidism. Om Tat Sat. Tonight we're continuing with a discussion of 6 secret principles to success in bhakti. And can anybody remember what the first 3 were that we discussed last time? Okay, desire. House on fire, desire. What else? Discipline. And the third one? Attitude. And we have the microphones ready. How many do we have? 2 only. One has been donated to the abyss somewhere. Okay, so 2 microphones, one for the front, one for the back. Let's hear some details and reflections of what you remember from any of those 3 categories. Yes, Stacy.
With the house on fire desire, was about giving it all you've got, not holding anything back.
Yeah, and also that if you have a strong enough desire, you can rise to the occasion, even if you don't seem to have the present skills.
Yes.
And I gave the story of Sudama and Chintamani, who were married in Los Angeles, and then Prabhupada asked them to go to Japan, and they said, we don't speak Japanese, we don't know anything about Japan. And Prabhupada said, if your house is burning down and you don't speak the local language, somehow or other you'll be able to communicate. And that's why I call it house on fire desire, because when you have a strong enough desire, then your abilities will grow to meet that desire. And we also quoted a verse from Rupa Goswami, which is an essential verse describing the price one has to pay in order to attain bhakti. And Yashoda Kumar knows the verse. Maybe?
I know this quality. It's called laulyam.
Laulyam.
Laulyam, ekamulyam, apal. I can find that out.
Krishna bhakti ras bhavito mati kriyatam jadi kritopi labhyate tatalolyam api mulyam ekalam janmakoti sukritirna labhyate. It may be in your book. Page 408. Let's take a look at it. It's a very important verse. This verse tells on page 408 in your shloka book what is the price to pay for bhakti. I'll say, please repeat. Krishna bhakti rasa bhavita mati. Kriyatam jadi kutopi labhyate. Tatalalyam api mulyam ekalam. Janmakoti sukraterna labhyate. Translation together. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. It could be attained only by paying one price, that is, intense greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. So this lalya means intense greed, house on fire desire to get it. And if it's available somewhere, you should go right away. Get it as soon as possible. What else about any of these three categories?
Don't major in minor things.
So you say it with such a relish. What is it about that you appreciate?
Because, most of the energy which we spend in so many minor things, I could correlate in a daily activities. So, and there is a rule in business, 20% business, 80% business comes from 20% of the customers. So it's kind of directly correlating the same thing.
Nice. Alfredo Pareto coined that, right? The Pareto principle. The 20% gets there's 20% activity that gets the 80% result, and 80% effort that gives the 20%. So don't major in minor things. There's also a principle that if you have to swallow a frog, then you swallow the biggest one first, because then the other ones seem easier. Sorry. But it's a principle that if you have many tasks to do, pick the biggest one, the most important one, the one that will actually make the biggest difference. Because the tendency is to think, I'll do all the easy stuff first and leave the harder thing for later, and it practically never gets done. Okay, what else? Don't major in minor things.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Bhakti and Linda.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Go right ahead.
Last time when you spoke about attitude, I remember you said not to adopt the attitude, I know that, and you said to stay hungry and humble.
Yes, nice. The 3 words that block all learning are, I know that. A lot of times teenagers develop that. I remember, she wasn't quite a teenager yet, but Nirkula's younger sister who lived with her when I first met Nirkula, and that was her mantra. I know that. I know that. I know that. And so, yes.
You give the big ticket items. Out of 64 devotional service skills, you give what are the big ticket items, And first two you mentioned like hearing and chanting. And then you mentioned the like total 5 is big. Hearing, chanting, association with devotee, worshipping, and living in the Dham. That 5 items you
Chanting Hare Krishna, worshipping the deity, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, associating with devotees, and living in the Dham.
Dham, yeah.
These 5.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
one.
Do you know in the Srimad Bhagavatam where that section is? In chapter 22, Madhya Lila? You know? Yeah, just look those up. That's a nice section to hear. Okay, what other things? So that yes, go right ahead.
Prabhuji, I really liked and I personally focused on one thing, and that was my intention before I chant. Because you mentioned that how you check your intention before you chant, and then that's how your attention goes, because that's where your attention goes. Because I generally take beads and I start chanting and I finish rounds, and that's exactly what you had said, that you can get your rounds done, but if you check your intention before you chant, then it's easy to pay attention to.
Check your intention before you begin to chant, because that will direct your attention. And have you been doing that, Hansapriya?
Yes. Yeah, I really enjoyed actually my job a little more than just to get it done.
So before you begin chanting, you decide, what is my intention for doing this, rather than just starting, right? That's really nice. Yeah. Thank you for remembering that.
And actually, your Shravanadi Jao also was like, take the time and trouble to do that. And when you mentioned this intention, so that made me really take the time to do that. So it really helped.
Nice point. Okay, Swati, and then Yashoda Kumar.
That's page number 313 in Shloka books.
Which page?
3313.
3313?
313.
313.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, page 313 in the Shloka book. Let's see what we've won. We've won the verse, and that simultaneously in the front row, Mukaravind also found it. So congratulations to all our lucky winners. Okay, on page 313, I'll say, please repeat. Sadhu Sanganam Kirtana Bhagavat Shravana Mathura Bhash Sri Murtira Shudhaya Shevana. This is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 22.128. We'll say the translation together. One should associate with devotees, chant the holy name of the Lord, hear Srimad Bhagavatam, reside at Mathura, and worship the deity with faith and veneration. And now I'm going to read from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and I'll read the purports along with it. So that verse comes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was just instructing Sanatana Goswami about the process of devotional service. So this is the authorized process of devotional service given from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he gives these 5, then he says, Shakala Shadana Shreshta E Pancha Ango Krishna Prema Janmaye Panchira Alpashango. These 5 limbs of devotional service are the best of all. Even a slight performance of these 5 awakens love for Krishna. Purport. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur points out that there are 35 items up to the point of observing special vows in the month of Kartik. To these 35 items, another 4 are added, namely, marking tilak on different parts of the body, writing the names of the Lord all over the body, accepting the deity's garland, and accepting Charnamrita. These 4 items are understood to be included by Kaviraj Goswami within Archan, worship of the deity. Although these items are not mentioned here, they are to be added to the previous 35 items. Thus, the total number becomes 39. To these 39 should be added 5 others: association with devotees, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, reading Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, residing in Mathura, the birthplace of Krishna, and worshipping the deity with great respect and veneration. The 39 items plus these 5 come to a total of 44. If we add the previous 20 items to these 44, the total number becomes 64. The 5 items mentioned above repeat previously mentioned items. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami states, Anganam panchakasyasya purva vilakitasya cha nikila shraistya bhudhaya punar apyatra shanksanam. The glorification of these 5 items, association with devotees, chanting the holy name, and so on, is to make known the complete superiority of these 5 practices of devotional service. The 64 items of devotional service include all the activities of the body, mind, and senses. Thus, the 64 items engage one in devotional service in all respects. Text 130. Shraddha Visheshata Prita Shri Murter Angrisevane. With love and full faith, one should worship the lotus feet of the deity. Purport. This verse and the following 2 verses are found in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Text 131. Srimad Bhagavatartanam Asvado Rasikasaha Sajati Yashave Snigde Sadhau Sangha Swato Vare. One should taste the meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of pure devotees. And one should associate with the devotees who are more advanced than oneself and who are endowed with a similar type of affection for the Lord. Purport. The words Sajati Yashaye Snigde Sadhau Sangha Swatovare are very important. One should not associate with professional Bhagavatam reciters. A professional Bhagavatam reciter is one who is not in the disciplic succession or one who has no taste for bhakti yoga. Simply on the strength of grammatical knowledge and word jugglery, professional reciters maintain their bodies and their desires for sense gratification by reading Srimad Bhagavatam. One should also avoid those who are averse to Lord Vishnu and his devotees, those who are Mayavadis, those who offend the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, those who simply dress as Vaishnavas or so-called Goswamis, and those who make a business by selling Vedic mantras and reciting Srimad Bhagavatam to maintain their families. One should not try to understand Srimad Bhagavatam from such materialistic people. According to the Vedic injunctions, Yasya Devi Para Bhakti, the Srimad Bhagavatam can be recited only by one who has unflinching faith in the lotus feet of Krishna and his devotee, the spiritual master. One should try to understand Srimad Bhagavatam from the spiritual master. The Vedic injunction states, Bhaktya Bhagavatam Grayam na bhutya na chatikaya. One has to understand Srimad Bhagavatam through the process of devotional service and by hearing the recitation of a pure devotee. These are the injunctions of the Vedic literature, Shruti and Smriti. Those who are not in the disciplic succession and who are not pure devotees cannot understand the real mysterious objective of Srimad Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Text 132. Nam Sankirtanam Shriman Mathura Mandale Stitihi. One should congregationally chant the holy name of the Lord and reside in Vrindavan. Purport. Sri Narottam Das Thakur has sung Shri Gauda Mandala Bhumi Jebe Jane Chintamani Taro Hoya Brajabhumi Bash. One who understands the transcendental nature of Navadvip and its surrounding area, where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enacted his pastimes, resides always in Vrindavan. Similarly, living in Jagannath Puri is as good as living in Vrindavan. The conclusion is that Navadvip Dham, Jagannath Puri Dham, and Vrindavan Dham are identical. However, if one goes to Mathura Mandala Bhumi for sense gratification or to make a livelihood, he commits an offense and is condemned. Whoever does so must be penalized in the next life by becoming a hog or a monkey in Vrindavan Dham. After taking on such a body, the offender is liberated in the next life. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur remarks that residing in Vrindavan with a view to enjoy sense gratification surely leads to a so-called devotee to a lower species. Text 133. Duruhat bhuta viryesmin shraddha dure stupanchake yatra swalpopi sambandhaha sadhyam bhava janmane. The power of these 5 principles is very wonderful and difficult to understand. Even without faith in them, a person who is offenseless can awaken his dormant love of Krishna simply by being a little connected with them. I'll read it again. The power of these 5 principles is very wonderful and difficult to understand. Even without faith in them, a person who is offenseless can awaken his dormant love of Krishna simply by being a little connected with them. That means yatra swalpopi sambandhaha, sualpa sambandha. If you have just a little tiny bit of connection with these, then shraddha dure, even if your faith is far away, stupanchake, these 5 items will bring you to the perfectional stage. Dur uha, difficult to understand. This is difficult to understand, Ramananda Saka Prabhu. Dur uha.
But one if that has caught my attention is offenseless. Because it is said that if you chant Hare Krishna even once offenselessly, you are liberated. So
yeah,
that
this goes to attitude. We talked about that last time. To perform devotion, one of the secrets that we've been talking about is our attitude in devotional service. And even if one can't follow the process of devotional service perfectly, if one doesn't resent the principle, that is, then takes up an attitude that, oh, those other people, I can't do it, therefore everyone else must be fallen to, because I can't do it. Oh, those Mangal Arti going 16 round chanting, who do they think they are? They're all just whatever. Because I can't do it. But even if I can't do it properly, if I have respect and appreciation for others who can and for the process itself, then there's no diminution, and I'll gradually progress. Attitude is everything. It's important in devotional service. So these 5, one must be offenseless, and this is always the case. This kind of connection takes place because of the faith that we have. And so even with sualpo pi sambandhaha, a little bit of connection with these sadhyam bhava janmane. Sadhyam, of those who are intelligent and offenseless. So you have to be sadhyam, intelligent and offenseless. Bhava janmane, to awaken one's love of God. Next verse says, when one is firmly fixed in devotional service, whether he executes one or many processes of devotional service, the waves of love of Godhead will awaken. There are many devotees who execute only one of the 9 processes of devotional service. Nonetheless, they get ultimate success. Devotees like Maharaj Ambarish execute all 9 items, and they also get ultimate success. And the next verse lists the various devotees who attain success for prosecuting a particular process of devotional service. Would you like to hear the list? Yes. Okay. Maharaj Parikshit attained the highest perfection, shelter at Lord Krishna's lotus feet, simply by hearing about Lord Vishnu. Shukadeva Goswami attained perfection simply by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj attained perfection by remembering the Lord. The goddess of fortune attained perfection by massaging the transcendental legs of Mahavishnu. Maharaj Prithu attained perfection by worshipping the deity, and Akrura attained perfection by offering prayers unto the Lord. Vajrangaji, Hanuman, attained perfection by rendering service to the Lord Ramachandra, and Arjuna attained perfection simply by being Krishna's friend. Bali Maharaj attained perfection by dedicating everything to the lotus feet of Krishna.
I It's not that they are doing just one activities only, because in the case of Hanuman, we can see that he's also always chanting the name of Ram in addition to just rendering service.
Yeah, in the mood of service. Maybe, but they're prominently situated in one of these 9, and they become famous for it. Obviously, Parikshit Maharaj, he did other things as well. He was a devotee throughout his life. However, he's famous for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam continuously for 7 days. Shraddha.
Maharaj, in these 9 processes of devotional services, where do we place reading? Is it considered as hearing? Because
yes,
we hear from the
it's a
book?
kind of hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other things from last time that you remember? Yes, a question?
No, not from last time.
Okay.
I have a sort of a comment and a question.
Okay, we'll take it.
Okay. First of all, it occurred to me that when you reach perfection in any form, would you say that it's you that feels the perfection through the connection? Or it doesn't have to be perfection. It just has to be the act.
Are you talking about in the practice of devotional service?
Right.
Well, if I understand you correctly, you're asking me if one attains perfection in devotional service, do you feel it? Do you know that you're attaining perfection?
It doesn't even have to be perfection, but if you're in the devotional path.
If you're advancing, do you?
Yes.
Yes, you do. In fact, it's described in the Shastra that just as when you are hungry and you eat food, you naturally feel strength, nourishment, and your hunger goes away on each bite that you take. And it happens simultaneously and automatically when you eat food. And nobody has to give you a certificate. You know for yourself. So similarly, Shastra says, when you perform devotional service, following in the footsteps of the great souls, then you also will experience for yourself bhakti, feeling of devotion. You'll also see the Lord for yourself. This is called anurag, direct perception. And then also you get what is called detachment from all other things. Bhakti parishanu bhavu virakti anyatra. Virakti anyatra means all other things that aren't related to Krishna, you lose interest. So you'll know it. You'll realize for yourself, as Prabhupada puts it in one lecture when he's talking about this very subject, there's a pinching that comes from from rajas, from the mode of passion. It pushes us to do things that aren't good for us. And when that pinching subsides and we're not being pushed by the mode of passion, we'll start to realize, I'm not being pushed anymore. And we can see it for ourselves. There are other symptoms as well. There are many signposts along the path of devotional service. For instance, in this section, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will teach Sanatana Goswami about the 9 symptoms of bhava. And bhava is a stage of advancement, on a very advanced stage in devotional service. And he gives 9 symptoms that are measurable and can be verified by one's activities practically. And he gives examples of them. Just for example's sake, the first 3 he mentions are shantir, which means forgiveness. Avyarta kalatvam means the person doesn't waste a second outside of devotional service. Shantir avyarta kalatvam. Viraktir means detachment from worldly things. Manashunyata means freedom from false ego. No more man, or thinking in terms of I and my, thinking in terms of service to Krishna. So there are recognizable symptoms, and the advancing devotee does see them in him or herself as he or she advances.
Yeah, my
follow-up comment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm following, and I
Okay.
and I appreciate everything you said, and I'm just the next step almost is...
Hold that microphone just a little closer. Yeah.
The next step in my thought is devotional service just as much for you as it is for the Lord?
Meaning? Maybe unpack that a little bit.
Meaning that you're the one that is going to feel all the actions that you take.
Yeah.
And you're the one that benefits from all the actions that you take just as much as the one that's being devoted to.
Yeah, of course, there's the devotee and the object of devotion, right? So there's two. And at a certain, of course, Krishna is always witnessing our activities and noticing the level of our sincerity. He's there within the heart. And Gajendra says in his prayers, Gajendra was an elephant, but he was a devotee too. We like animals. So Gajendra offered prayers to the Lord. And in his prayers, he said that the Lord is never inattentive to any living entity. Of course, some are more interesting than others because some have bhakti. And when a person develops pure love, then Krishna really takes notice. He says so in the Bhagavad Gita. Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dvesho stina priya. Stina priya. What is it? I just look up the verse. It's 929. Maite teshu chapyaham. So Krishna says that I'm equal to everybody, but one who surrenders to me in devotional service, that he's in me and I'm in him. There's an intimate relationship. And there's a point at which when the devotee's bhakti reaches a certain pitch and a certain kind of purity, that it becomes irresistible to Krishna. In other words, although the living entity is tiny and Krishna is infinite, the living entity is infinitesimal. When living entity develops pure bhakti, then that becomes irresistible to Krishna. He's attracted. And in fact, Shastra says, Krishna, who is unconquerable, his name is Ajita. He's never conquered by anyone. He becomes conquered by the love of his devotee. That's the great secret of bhakti. That God, who is all-powerful, can become conquered by bhakti. And somebody please pass out a few of those zafus for anybody who might need them. Anybody like a zafu to be more comfortable? And there's also chairs in the back too, so anybody feels more comfortable in a chair, please take a chair. Okay? Yeah. Did that answer the question? Nice questions, by the way. Yes, Shraddha.
I was just going to recount.
Okay, let's take the citation. Yashoda Kumar's got the hot hand tonight on the Shastra.
It's Shloka Books, page 114.
114 in your Shloka book. 114. Oh, thank you very much. Top of the page, 929 from Bhagavad Gita. I'll say, please repeat. Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dvesho stina priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. Translation together. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. All right, I have a treat for everybody. Are you ready? You want a treat? Yes. Okay. I'm going to read the purport to this verse, 929, and it's on page number 435. Now, if this isn't a treat, I don't know what is, because this purport is just the best purport maybe in all of Prabhupada's books. Are you ready? Can you handle this? I'm just checking. Purport. One may question here that if Krishna is equal to everyone and no one is his special friend, then why does he take a special interest in the devotees who are always engaged in his transcendental service? But this is not discrimination. It is natural. Any man in this material world may be very charitably disposed, yet he has a special interest in his own children. The Lord claims that every living entity, in whatever form, is his son, and so he provides everyone with a generous supply of the necessities of life. He is just like a cloud which pours rain all over, regardless of whether it falls on rock or land or water. But for his devotees he gives special attention. Such devotees are mentioned here. They are always in Krishna consciousness, and therefore they are always transcendently situated in Krishna. The very phrase Krishna consciousness suggests that those who are in such consciousness are living transcendentalists situated in him. The Lord says here distinctly, Mai te, they are in me. Naturally, as a result, the Lord is also in them. This is reciprocal. This also explains the words Ye yata mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. Whoever surrenders unto me proportionately, I take care of him. This transcendental reciprocation exists because both the Lord and the devotee are conscious. When a diamond is set in a golden ring, it looks very nice. The gold is glorified, and at the same time the diamond is glorified. The Lord and the living entity eternally glitter, and when a living entity becomes inclined to the service of the Supreme Lord, he looks like gold. The Lord is a diamond, and so this combination is very nice. Living entities in a pure state are called devotees. The Supreme Lord becomes the devotee of his devotees. If a reciprocal relationship is not present between the devotee and the Lord, then there is no personalist philosophy. In the impersonal philosophy, there is no reciprocation between the Supreme and the living entity, but in the personalist philosophy there is. The example is often given that the Lord is like a desired tree, and whatever one wants from this desired tree the Lord supplies. But here the explanation is more complete. The Lord is here stated to be partial to the devotees. This is the manifestation of the Lord's special mercy to the devotees. The Lord's reciprocation should not be considered to be under the law of karma. It belongs to the transcendental situation in which the Lord and his devotees function. Devotional service to the Lord is not an activity of this material world. It is part of the spiritual world where eternity, bliss, and knowledge predominate. You liked it. Great, yes. Pass her the microphone. We want to hear her thought.
Because, you mentioned one of the symptoms of reaching this state of bhava is giving up your false ego. And it, to me, it means giving up your body and mind consciousness to soul consciousness, because soul is always connected to the super soul. And once you've given up your attachment to your body and your mind, which is your personality and physique, to your character and the super soul, it's something like you have started a firm called, say, ABC company, and then you suddenly say to Apple, you're the biggest company out there, I'm going to merge with you, but here's what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give up everything to you, I'm going to work for you. Apple says, no problem, I'll give you your salary, I'll provide you health benefits, I'll provide you everything, your family will be taken care of, just work for me and I'll take care of you. So to me, it appears like, okay, I dissolved my company, I don't have to worry about my ABC company anymore, now I work for Apple.
I like that. The perfect Silicon Valley analogy. We can relate to that. Thank you, Bindya. That was beautiful. Good. They're very nice. Yeah, and I like that Krishna's already supporting us, but due to false ego, I think that I'm doing something. And Krishna mentions that in the Bhagavad Gita, that someone who thinks like that is very foolish. And one becomes wise and realizes that he's already completely dependent on Krishna and surrenders to Krishna in that way. Yeah, it's like you give up your little mom and pop store and merge with Apple. That'll work. Thank you. Very nice. Okay, so we were talking about some of the points from last time. We talked about desire, house on fire desire. Where there's a will, there's a way. Associate with devotees who have strong faith, because we take on the qualities of those we associate with. And your abilities will grow to meet your strong desire. Then we talked about discipline. It's a conscious control over lifestyle It comes from the Latin discipulus, which means learner. And how correct practice makes perfect. Each discipline affects all other kinds of disciplines. And then we talked about attitude. Nothing will change until I do. This is a good attitude to adopt. And failure is the pillar to success. A while back when I was gardening and I wrote some analogy about the compost pile. Anybody here have a compost? You have a compost? Of course, you have a garden. Yeah. So compost means that you take all the organic scraps that come out of the kitchen or in the yard, and you can put them in a pile, or better yet, in a box, and they'll sit there and they'll start to biodegrade. They actually get hot because all the little critters in there are generating heat as they're going through the cycle of life. And it decomposes, and it actually becomes nutrient rich. And once it decomposes, you can take that and spread it around your garden, mix it into the soil as an amendment, and then it actually nourishes the flowers and the other kind of plants. So similarly, when in our lives we may think that there are certain kinds of missteps or useless things that we've done. These kind of throwaways, so to speak, just like scraps from the kitchen or so on. If we actually collect them, they become valuable to us later on. This is the idea of failure is the pillar to success. Never waste a crisis. When you're in a crisis, there's a way in which you have to dig deep. You become prayerful, and you learn certain things about your limits and your attachments, don't you? When you're pressed, and maybe your life is at stake, or maybe your money is at stake, or some kind of attachment, or a family member, something like that. These kinds of things are very trying circumstances. For the devotee, the attitude is not why does God do bad things to good people? Rather, it's this is very interesting that this is happening to me. Of course, I deserved more or worse, but I'm getting a token for my purification. And in fact, Lord Brahma, who's the leader of our disciplic succession, had given a prayer to Krishna in Vrindavan, and he said, "Tate anukampam susamikshamano punjana evatma kritam vipakam ridvaglapurvir vidatam namaste jiveta yomukti pade sadaya bhak." That a devotee simply waits for the Lord's causeless mercy, and he or she endures whatever kinds of suffering come, considering that this is simply a token coming from past bad activities that I've performed in the material world. And a person who maintains this attitude throughout his or her life is eligible to inherit the kingdom of God. Sadaya Bhak means that you become an inheritor, just as much as in some societies the son will inherit the wealth of the father when he passes away. And therefore Sridhar Swami, commenting on this verse, says that the duty of the son of a rich man is to stay alive. That's what he must do, stay alive, because he'll inherit. So similarly, the duty of a devotee is to stay alive in Krishna consciousness and await the Lord's mercy. Be tolerant of the waves that are coming here in the material world. And there are waves, aren't there, that come, waves of misery and despair even. And in fact, the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Vishad Yoga, means the yoga of despair. Don't waste a good episode of despair in your life, because despair brings out the core of what's really in our heart. You know, we realize what's there. It's easier said than done, isn't it? Because it's acquired and an acquired taste to be able to tolerate all kinds of adversities in life. But we must practice. This is part of the practice of devotional service and attitude, and that is, when we're in the kitchen, we're making scraps. There are throwaways. We place them somewhere where they can become of value to us. So similarly, when we're experiencing various setbacks in our lives and so on, put them in the spiritual compost and let them turn into something very valuable that we can draw upon, that can actually enrich our lives, a life of experience, which means ups and downs, inevitable ups and downs, as one continues one's service and devotional service without wavering, even though one is being knocked about by the strong forces of material nature, and everyone will be, because that's the nature of the world. If you're in the middle of the ocean, you can expect it. The waves and the storms will come, and so you must endure. And if you do that, says Brahma, you're eligible to inherit the kingdom of God. So now we know that's what it takes. If you want to go back to Godhead, you have to tolerate and in fact accept whatever kinds of adverse conditions come as the mercy of the Lord. If you can do that, you're eligible to go back to Godhead. So that's one of the distinctive attitudes of a devotee. And don't be upset with the instrument of your karma. This is an important point, because if we blame others for what happens to us, then we're also equally implicated in the whatever transgression was perpetrated. So that means if someone abuses us in some way, if we take it that they are the perpetrator. I know this is very philosophical. I'm also going to give a little bit of, and could be a controversial point, but I'm also going to say a little bit about it to unpack it. If we take the perpetrator of a particular transgression to be the actual perpetrator, then we're equally responsible for the reaction. This is what Srimad Bhagavatam says. In fact, Dharma, the bull, says this when asked, who has beaten you? Because Parikshit Maharaj finds Dharma beaten and says, who has abused you like this? And he said, I cannot name a perpetrator. And the shloka actually says that if you name the perpetrator, then you're also complicit. You're also complicit. Now that doesn't mean, however, that one simply observes evil acts in the world or even lets somebody abuse oneself without trying to do something about it. It's an attitude. It's an understanding, because inevitably we will be visited by our past karma, and somebody's got to be the agent to bring it to us, to put it at our front door and said, here you go. And if we blame that person, then we are still connected to that cycle of karma, rather than seeing that I've done it to myself, which is what Brahma says in the verse. Tatteo nikampam susamikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam. Evatma kritam means I did it to myself. If I bite my own tongue, who can I blame? I look around the room and say, hey, why'd you do that? You bit your tongue. Yes. Question, comment. Microphone.
When do you think you say that's enough? I'm not going to take it anymore.
Well, you have
in terms of not in terms of physically retaliating or I mean in terms of taking an offense. When do you say, okay, this he's doing you know what I mean? Like I think when it's done intentionally to harm you, that's when you take offense.
Well, as I was saying earlier, it's not that we don't take measures to protect ourselves. in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj says, Balasya neha sharanam pitarao nashingha nartasya chagana mudhanmati majato now taptasya tat pratividir yarihanjasheshas tavad bibo tanubritam tvarupekshitanam. That parents can't protect their children. A boat on water can't protect a drowning man, and medicine cannot protect a sick patient unless it's sanctioned by the Supreme Lord. And therefore, one should always consider that the sanction of Krishna is there. And if he doesn't give his sanction, if he doesn't, if he's indifferent, as the verse says, tvarupekshitanam, then you won't be able to accomplish these things. You won't be able to save. However, Prabhupada points out in his commentary that it doesn't mean that if you see a man drowning on the water, you don't try to save him if you have a boat. And it doesn't mean that if you have children, you don't give all protection to them through medicine or whatever is necessary and is the standard process for taking care of them. And doesn't mean that you don't try to take care of yourself. In fact, in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, as Devaki and Vasudeva were coming back from their wedding, and Kamsa heard a voice from the sky which said, the 8th child of your sister is going to kill you, therefore Kamsa, you're a fool. Why are you driving her like this? He immediately picked up his sword and grabbed the hair of his sister, and he was going to decapitate her on the spot because he didn't want to be thwarted in his sense gratification or be killed by Vishnu. And Vasudeva presented many different arguments to Kamsa to dissuade him from doing this, from killing Devaki. And the Srimad Bhagavatam says, Shukadeva Goswami says in this section, that it's the duty of every living entity to preserve their life as long as possible, because it's very valuable for self-realization. Jivasa tattva jignasa narto yasceha karmabhi. You should eat to live, don't live to eat. And so you have a right to protect yourself. And so what's the balance? You should be engaged in service, and if somebody's interrupting your service, then there's a way in which you have to make a remedy to that. Okay. We're talking about attitude. Be an instrument. Let Krishna be the doer. And don't major in minor things. That's a good mantra, isn't it? Because it's a good time management tool also. When you start your day or you go through your day, think about this. What's the most important thing that I can do right now? Because we can't do everything. So because of the law of forced efficiency, we have to pick out the most important things. And if you pick out minor things, then you're going to get a minor degree at the end of the day. And if you pick out major things, you'll have a major. Okay, so we're moving on to the next 3 principles to success in bhakti. And number 4 is practice. Now, Krishna talks about practice in the Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter, when he says, Abhyasa yoga yuktena cetasa nanyagamina paramam purusham divyam yati partanu chintayan. And that is that word abhyas, which means to do something repeatedly. You do it over and over and over again until you develop it into a habit. Spiritual habits are very important. Actually, our Russians will like this one. Dostoevsky. A quote from Dostoevsky. Anybody read any Russian novels? Did you read Crime and Punishment or The Idiot? He wrote 11 major novels, and they're all considered to be huge literary works. Dostoevsky is a Russian author. And a quote I found from him, which I found relevant to this point: the second half of a man's life is made up of the habits he acquired during the first half. That's scary, yeah? Well, it goes on you could take that on a day-to-day basis also. Prabhupada once said that he knew a merchant who all day long in the cloth market was quoting prices, and then he said at night, sometimes when he'd see this man take a nap or when he was sleeping at night, he would also be quoting prices in his dreams. Probably experienced this before yourself. If you're fully absorbed in something, then it tends to carry over. So whatever you do in the first half of the day, it's going to carry over the next part of the day, and therefore practicing, having a strong foundation of practice is very important. And as my Mridanga teacher told me, that you have to do it slow and correct to start with. Because if you do it fast to start with, and this is a tendency he notices in a lot of his students, that they always speed up. And this is one of the faults of the beginner. The beginner gets a hold of a simple principle and then says, I'm an expert, and goes running off with it. I learned to use the semicolon, and now I put one on every page. Every other sentence I use a semicolon. Overuse. This is a kind of what is called utsahan mayi, or it's the fault of the beginner who becomes overly enthusiastic, thinking that I know everything and I can just run with it. But you have to take the basic principles of devotional service slowly and correctly, and then you can develop. So abhyas, doing something over and over again correctly, is really important. And the point of developing practices is to develop virtuous habits, to actually come to a higher state of existence, goodness, virtue, light, clarity. There are habits that are distinctively in the mode of goodness, habits that are in the mode of passion or rajas, and habits that are in the mode of ignorance. Let's name a few that you've read and studied in the Bhagavad Gita. Habits that are in the mode of goodness for 10 points. Habits in the mode of the mode of ignorance. Name some habits. Yes.
Having the right posture.
In the mode of ignorance? No. Or I want habits in the mode of ignorance.
I'm sorry, I thought it was goodness.
That's all right. Sleeping. Oversleeping. Okay, that's good. That's even more qualified. Yes? Excessive sleep is in the mode of ignorance. Microphone comes to Ramanand Saka, and Hansapriya's got one. Yeah.
The eating habits, the food, how persons eat, what kind of food a person eats is classified into 3 categories: mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance.
Okay, tell us some food in the mode of ignorance.
Mode of ignorance is eating food that has been cooked more than 3 hours before, or eating food that has been rotten, or something like that.
Untouchable, remnants.
Yes.
So things like that. Okay, and then obviously there's food in the mode of passion, which is way too hot. And then there's food in the mode of goodness, which is sweet, juicy, palatable, fatty. Okay, Hansapriya, what do you have for us?
It's over-socializing, even with the co-workers. Sometimes you have to learn something, so you just talk to them, but then you realize, oh my gosh, I end up talking 2 hours. And
Okay.
same thing with the neighbors also. So I just thought that you have to realize, don't talk to the neighbors in the evening, because they're just going to dump the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, fitting it into this template of mode of ignorance, passion, or goodness. It kind of depends what kind of socializing you're doing too. Like, over the holidays, people socialize and they'll go out and they'll take intoxication together and so on. This would be association in the mode of ignorance. And the mode of passion, people get together for business meetings and they talk about how they're going to make more money in the new year. Mode of passion. Mode of goodness, they get together and talk about, Krishna's transcendental. Mode of goodness, they talk about peace, world peace, bean sprouts, vegan diet for the new year, things like that. And then transcendental topics would be, about Krishna, transcendence. So there are habits everyone has habits. It's natural that everyone has habits. So very particularly, the Vedas are giving us direction so that we can develop transcendental habits. Yes? Let's get him the microphone back there. Here it comes.
Haribol.
Jitendriya.
Hare Krishna.
Go ahead.
So just like Ramananda Prabhu told about food in 3 modes of passion, goodness, and ignorance, we can classify reading also in these 3 categories.
Yes.
I mean, you're reading Bhagavad Gita, mode of goodness. And
transcendental.
Transcendental, yeah. I mean, you could say you're reading trashy novels, which people say you can find some time in it, but that's not the way to do it.
Yeah. So then there's, reading. There's also, Krishna mentioned, literature. There are good literature can be, Prabhupada mentions in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, art, literature, these kinds of things are hinting at they're trying to reach transcendence, expression of the spirit and stuff. They're mostly in the mode of goodness, but they can also be tinged by passion and ignorance. Actually, in the material world, nothing's purely good or purely passionate or purely ignorant. It all mixes together. Krishna mentions this in the 14th chapter of the Gita, that the modes are always mixing. In fact, if you're purely in the mode of goodness, you're not going to go anywhere. You wouldn't come here. Of course, it's transcendental coming here. But the point is that just to get up and move, movement means rajas. Mode of goodness, you're just sort of absorbed in being. I exist. That's good enough. What do I need a house for? It's like, hey, we're alive. That's good. And mode of passion means progress. I got a house. Let's trade up. Yeah, get a better one. Get a hot tub. That could be the mode of ignorance. Yes.
So when we come, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
When we come here to study, or to do service, or to do book distribution, all these 3 gunas, they're all within us at all times. If I'm not passionate, I would not be able to distribute those books or come in and do that cooking. Or, if I didn't want to serve the Lord with a little bit of goodness in me, that I see the positive in it, I wouldn't be here. So can you explain that, the material 3 gunas? I see the same 3 gunas in the transcendental work that we do. So what is that? Are they the 3 gunas, or are just they're all one? What is the difference?
Iha yasya harer dasye karmana manasa gira nikila api avastastu jivan muktasu uchite. The Goswamis have said, when you're engaging everything, mind, body, and soul in Krishna's service, then you're transcendental. Everything's transcendentalized. However, even in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Kapila Dev explains to his mother that there's devotional service in ignorance, passion, and goodness, and then completely transcendental. And he describes, and it's not that devotional service is affected by the modes, it's that somebody is still affected by the modes and is also practicing devotional service. And there's a way in which, we have this, we have the physical and the gross material body and also subtle body. And the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains in the Madhurya Kadambini, and this is also in the Srimad Bhagavatam as well, that if a person becomes a completely liberated soul, then practically speaking, the body, the prarabdha karma, which is our present body, is no longer necessary or completely nullified. And therefore, in order to maintain the devotee's ability to serve in this world using the body, Krishna maintains that prarabdha. And so there is a way in which although the body becomes transcendentalized, it's still moving by certain forces of material nature. But Krishna takes charge of the body of a person who's completely engaged in devotional service. Okay, so practice, and there are certain characteristics of practice that are important, and I've named 4 of them. And of course, there's a few words that Prabhupada uses regularly when it comes to practice, and the 3 words are 3 S's: strict, serious, and sincere. Strict, serious, and sincere. Strict, serious, and sincere. So check yourself, these 3 words. He doesn't use them together, but in various places he repeatedly uses these 3 words. So we've put them together in a tincture that's a high potency. Strict, serious, and sincere. You can remember these 3 S's when you're performing your practice in devotional service. Are you doing it strictly, seriously, and sincerely? And that will give you a way to sort of focus. So strict, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antilila 6.309, quotation, who could list the unlimited transcendental attributes of Raghunath Das? His strict regulative principles were exactly like lines on a stone. That's how strict he was about performing his daily devotional service, like lines on a stone. So notice if your practice is like that. Is it like lines on a stone? Okay. Then the word from Latin strictus means to tighten or draw tight, not allowing deviation or relaxation of rules or discipline. Serious comes from Latin serious, which means earnest. And sincere is from Latin again, which means clean and pure, free from pretense or deceit, proceeding from genuine feelings. And of course, you know this word sincere comes from a practical setting, which is that early on when marble was discovered as a very opulent product for building temples and all kinds of things. And they began mining marble from the ground. The most valuable of the marble had no lines in it. And it was worth a lot more. So the quarrymen who were pulling out this marble then would also find pieces that had lines in them and cracks and so on. So in order to get a better price for them, Hare Krishna. Jai, Happy New Year. Welcome back. Nice to see you. Please come. They would put wax in the cracks, so it would look like it was completely intact without any cracks in it. Of course, on hot days, wax would melt and the cracks would appear again. And this word sincere, actually the root of it means without wax. Without wax. No pretense, in other words. What you see is what you get. Be sincere. A human is blessed with the unique power to cultivate and culture sincerity. And this is a foundational principle because sincerity is ironclad. And it is the most valuable substance. If you were to go to Gulab Singh's in Chandi Chowk, you'll find he's been there for generations and he sells the most expensive essential oils in the world practically. And some of the oils that he sells from exotic places around the world are thousands of dollars per small quantity. But if you could get one little bottle of sincerity, pure sincerity, that would be more valuable. There's nothing more valuable than sincerity, especially in the process of devotional service. If you have that, then you have bedrock. You have a place where you can always commune with Krishna through your sincerity. So we can check our sincerity. We have that capability. The human being is particularly designed to be able to observe his or her own consciousness and examine it. So an unexamined life is not worth living. And Srimad Bhagavatam says that one may live, may experience a moment of full consciousness, understanding one's own heart and mind and sincerity. That's more valuable than an entire life of cloudy consciousness, of not examining the purpose of life and so on. One moment of clarity and sincerity. Oh yes, a question or comment. Please pass her the microphone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, you were mentioning about these 3 different S's.
Yes.
Being strict, serious, and sincere.
Yeah.
In particular, I'm talking about sincerity. Is it a habit you develop, or is it something inherent in you, like being sincere? Some people are inherently sincere, but some people are not. They have to practice being sincere. So...
Well, if you practice being sincere, you're sincere. If you sincerely practice to be sincere, then you're sincere. I mean, if you even just think about it, I want to be sincere. One of Prabhupada's disciples, Bhagavat Prabhu, was telling the story about how he told Prabhupada that, I'm trying to be sincere. And every time Prabhupada would introduce him to others, because they were in Orissa together, he would say, "This is Bhagavat. He's very sincere." So if you're sincere about being sincere, you're sincere. Is it a practice? It's a practice to introspect and examine oneself and see, am I sincere? And later on in the outline, I've talked about not harboring a motive. So I'll bring it up now. Don't harbor material motives. Harboring a material motive, is like harboring a fugitive. Harboring a fugitive is a crime, So if somebody escapes from some correctional institution and comes to your house and says, let me in, they take care of me, they're after me, and you say, yeah, come on in, yeah, put your feet up, you have a little snack or whatever, you can stay as long as you like. You're harboring a fugitive, and when he gets caught, you knew it, you harbored him, and you're going downtown. And so we have to observe and see, what am I harboring? The search itself to see what's in my heart, what is my motive, what kind of motive am I keeping, is an act of sincerity itself. So there is a practice involved. It means, noticing. Just like Hansapriya was mentioning that she liked the instructive about realizing what your intention is before you start chanting. And so intention is important. It's everything. And if you look at your intention, then you can fine-tune it through practice and see, what is my intention? Is it to please Krishna? Or am I chanting for some other purpose? And even if I am chanting for some other purpose, because I have some kind of motive in mind, if I become sincere about not having that anymore, and I pray to Krishna, please help me remove that insincere motive, I'm sincere. Subtle kind of practice. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes, Ramananda Sakar Prabhu.
What is the difference between sincere and serious?
Well, let's take a look. Sincere and serious. Serious is defined as earnest. It's pretty close. Serious and sincere. I think that they're very subtly the same. Not a whole lot of difference. Yes. You can be serious and insincere. You can be serious about being insincere. Serious and insincere.
Yeah, serious and insincere.
You can be serious and misguided. You can be sincerely wrong. That's also possible. Yes.
And just talking about sincerity, I wanted to thank you for all the time that you spent always trying to answer my questions while you have your obligation first, of course, to your devotees. So I sincerely want to give you my sincere
you're
gratitude.
A devotee.
Oh, am I?
I think so. Yeah.
Well, I would consider myself as one, but I didn't know if there's priorities somehow with initiations or...
Nope.
Nah.
No, anyone who chants Hare Krishna is a devotee.
I got that down so far.
And a lot more.
Oh, well, I'm glad that got clarified. Sincerely, thank you.
Okay. All right. Yes?
When you talk about looking at your motives,
yeah.
Some motives are gross motives, like I might want material, I might want something for my kids. I'm thinking that this might bring something good into the family. There might be, but there are subtle motives that we don't recognize.
Mm-hmm.
There may be something I'm looking for that, that basically, even to, I want to hear from you about the subtle motives that we don't recognize when we do this chanting or when we do our service. Is there something that we should, I don't know what to find when I say I might have something else in my mind that doesn't fall into the gross motives that doesn't stand out as a glaring, a defect that I'm wanting something.
Well, one thing you can do is as you're studying the Shastra, you'll notice the Srimad Bhagavatam is really a series of prayers to the Lord. All the devotees are offering prayers, and you can notice how they're offering prayers and then compare it to what your internal process is. How are you thinking and offering prayers and such? And what are your motives?
But most of the prayers are descriptive. They talk about the Lord.
Yeah, they're in a certain mood. Like you'll notice that in Prahlad Maharaj's prayers, he says certain things. Like he starts off by saying that the demigods offered prayers to you, Lord Nrsingadev, but you're not satisfied, even though they were expert at offering prayers. And now they're asking me to offer you prayers, and I'm not qualified, he said. But then he thought of Gajendra, the elephant. And he said Gajendra was an elephant, but because he sincerely offered his prayers to the Lord, then the Lord accepted him. And he was satisfied. He said, therefore, I'll sincerely offer prayers, even though I'm unqualified, and therefore you'll accept it. And so, and he says many other things, and you can pick up the mood. Also, Queen Kunti has a certain mood when she prays, and she talks about being a kinchan. That means I don't have anything. So notice those things, and also in Gajendra's prayers, he says that he's in danger because the crocodile's on his leg, and therefore, he recognizes that I'm asking for something material. That is, please save me. But then he says, I know your pure devotees don't ask you for anything, but right now I have a crocodile on my leg. And there's a way in which, if you have a crocodile on your leg, there may be it may not be within the realm of purely motivated, pure devotional prayer. But Rupa Goswami mentions that within the course of our lives, there are ways in which we may, for the protection of our body or those of our, children or something like that, offer a prayer to the Lord, please protect us. And because we're engaging everything, body and family and everything, in the service of the Lord, that's not outside the realm of pure devotional service. It's natural when there's a dangerous situation. In fact, when Krishna was walking with his friends in the forest, a forest fire suddenly sprung up, and they were threatened, and they called out to Krishna, "Please save us." And Krishna swallowed the forest fire. In fact, they were always calling out, "Krishna, save us, save us." They took so much shelter of Krishna that even they would walk into dangerous situations thinking, well, he saved us last time, he'll save us this time too. When they saw the giant python named Aghasura, they had a debate first about, some of the boys ran away. They were on their way to a picnic and they saw this giant snake. And some of them said, that's a fake. That's, and the others said, no, that's a real snake. And they started running away. But then they all agreed that whether it's real or it's fake, it doesn't matter, because Krishna killed Bakasura, and we saw him, just bifurcate this giant demon. So he'll protect us now too. So they were laughing and clapping their hands, and they said, "We'll go in the mouth." And Krishna was standing, "Don't go in the mouth." And then Krishna went in all behind them, and Aghasura thought, "I got him now." Closed his mouth. The demigods thought, "Oh no, what happened now?" Because they really wanted to get rid of Aghasura. And then Krishna made himself larger and larger inside the snake. And the snake started getting larger and larger, but he couldn't outpace Krishna. And he finally suffocated. And there was nowhere for his life air to go except to burst out the top of his head. Krishna then brought back the boys and the calves. He brought back their life by glancing at them. And they all came walking back outside the snake. Meanwhile, the spirit soul of Aghasura hovered in the air and was glowing. And then when Krishna came out, the soul entered into Krishna's body. Because Aghasura had achieved a liberation. Because yogis, they try to see Krishna's lotus feet, but actually Krishna walked on his tongue. So that's a sure way to get purified. And actually Prabhupada mentions that when you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna is walking on your tongue. Remember that when you chant. Because Prabhupada makes this statement that Lord Nrsingadev placed his hand on Prahlad Maharaj's head out of benediction. And Prabhupada says there's no difference between that and you chanting Hare Krishna. It's just the only difference is your realization of it. And when you're associating with the holy name, you're associating with Krishna directly. So, I've forgotten the original question, but we'll move on. It was about motives and such, I think, right? Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting topic, motives. So, there are certain ways that we should practice. One of them is that our practice should be regular. That means we should have a definite pattern with the same space of time between sessions and so on. Our daily dose of hearing and chanting becomes a tonic that builds and maintains our spiritual strength. That's what regular means. Practice should be regular. So there's a way to practice so that we develop a daily habit. So it should be regular. And how do you become regular and develop a habit? A little bit at a time. Prabhupada gave the example of if you want to become an alcoholic, you can go sit with alcoholics. And gradually, by their association, and they'll teach you how to, drink something that you shouldn't ingest. Never drink anything that you can ignite. And it's when people start drinking, but after a while they get used to it. They develop into a habit, and then they learn how to tolerate, the effect of alcohol going through their system, and they learn how to, sleep it off and get up the next day and go collect a little money to do it. There's a lifestyle around it, and you can develop it into a habit. By association and watching what others do and then practicing a little bit at a time. So in the same way you can develop the good habits of devotional service, transcendental habits, by good association. Get around people who have those habits and observe, and then pick up a little bit at a time of these habits and start practicing them. And practice should be attentive, because there's a way in which in any kind of regular practice we can lose our attention and just do it out of ritual. And the mind can be somewhere else. In fact, if you ever notice this, you can read a book and you can be thinking about something else at the same time. I've noticed sometimes, read a paragraph and I'll think, did I actually see the paragraph? And then where was my mind? And go back and read it over again. And it's amazing how the mind can fly off in a tangent. So it's important to be attentive when we practice. So practice attention. Be aware of what you're doing. And one way to do that is to study what you're doing. For instance, if you're chanting a mantra, if anybody here chants the Gayatri mantra? Yes, so one thing that you can do is study the Gayatri mantra. And Krishna talks about this in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam when he talks about deity worship and other kinds of rituals. He says, to purify a mantra, you should study it. Because the more you study a mantra, the more your mind will be attentive to it, because it's thinking there's something in this. When you know what it is, where it came from, what its powers are, and so on, then the mantra becomes very interesting, because the mind always wants to know what's in it for me. And if you understand what's in it for you, then the mind will go there. If you're falling asleep while you're chanting your japa, think I'm very, very tired. Or in the Bhagavatam class, I can barely keep awake, I'm so tired. And then somebody calls you or texts you and say, you just won the lottery for $10 million. You'll wake right up because you think there's something in this for me. I just got $10 million and I know just how to spend it, and so on. And so it's a matter of becoming interested. To have attention means we should be interested in it. When you have interest in something, then you're very attentive. Somebody who was a gambler told me there's a big difference between watching a football game and betting on a football game. Yeah, when they bet on it, then it's like they could be anywhere. They could be in the middle of a congressional meeting or something that they'll be checking the score on their iPhone because they've got something riding on the game. So you should have something riding on your mantras and on your whole practice. You should realize that you got your whole life riding on it. That at any minute I can slide off this surface that I think is stable, but it's not. And the opportunity they have now is a short little span of time to get the most out of this practice. And if I have that feeling and I have the interest because I've studied it, then I can stay attentive. Another thing is, this is a very powerful technique for being attentive and regular, and that is never greet the day without a plan. If you wake up without a plan, at least some plan, then your mind will tend to take off and go to here, there, and everywhere. But if you have a clear plan, never greet the dawn without a map. Agmandino said that. Never greet the dawn without a map. And that means if you have a clear idea, what am I going to do today? Even if you have a sketchy idea, you'll notice a difference. If you take 10 seconds or a minute or 5 minutes to write down what are your main priorities for the day when you wake up in the morning, or better yet at night, or at least at the beginning of the year. And I just noticed it. Nirkula and I went away for 4 days, and we spent time. And it takes a little time. It's amazing because the waves of movement are so strong that when you stop for a minute to try to go inwardly and see what are my intentions, what's going on, you're still moving. And it takes 24, 48 hours to actually slow down and actually start talking and thinking about, what are my plans and so forth. But I find that just by having taken time to write down what are my priorities for the year, I feel like I'm shot from a cannon. When I wake up in the morning, as soon as I sense, I don't even have to, my alarm clock doesn't even have to go off. I just sense, because Super Soul's there and goes, it's getting close. And I wake up and go, all right, let's go. Because I know where I'm going. Because I thought about it and I wrote it down. Of course, that can wear off after a little while because everything wears off in the material world. Everything gets obscured. So if you take time to plan what your priorities are and what you're going to do, then you can be interested and your practice can become very regular. Because familiarity breeds contempt. Okay, another aspect of practice is it should be goal-oriented. Can I prove that? Well, Prabhupada says in the Bhagavad Gita, the text 226 in the purport, he says, disturbance is due to want of an ultimate goal. Due to want of an ultimate goal. And the Goswamis were very much goal-oriented in their sadhana. We know that from Srinivasacharya's song about the 6 Goswamis, where he says that Sankhya Purvakanamagana Natibi Kalavasani Kritao, that Sankhya, they were counting everything they did. They had it mapped out how many times they would chant. That's why we have beads. We have beads to chant on and we have beads to pull down to count. That's goal-oriented practice. Because if you just say, well, I'll do whatever I feel like every day, I'll chant how many ever rounds I feel like today, some days you won't feel like it. But you have to do it regularly. It has to be goal-oriented. And you say, this is what I do. This is the minimum. I don't go below no matter what. And that's a good place to start at anything. You take a minimum and you say, I won't go below this no matter what. And then from there you get strength. You can move up from that point. And Sankhya, Purva, Kanamagan, and they counted everything. How many times they bowed down, how many different prayers they offered, and so on. And therefore, charts, systems, and things like that are not inconsistent with the practice of sadhana bhakti, where we're interested in making sure that every day we get our nourishment, even if we don't feel like it. And if you go on like that for some time, you'll start to develop gradually you start to develop some spontaneity in your service because you get taste. So make your practice goal-oriented. Page by page, be a sage. Be a sage page by page. We have a chart that shows how many pages a day you have to read in order to finish each one of Prabhupada's books in a certain amount of time. That's what I'm talking about, goal-oriented. You know I have to read 35 pages a day in order to finish in a year or 2 years, whatever book you're reading, and so on. So be connected to that kind of practice. And the fourth one is sadhana should be according to one's personal capacity and taste. And Bhagavad Gita 3:35, it is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties even though faultily than another's duties perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duties, for to follow another's path is dangerous. Naturally, enthusiastic devotees want to know how to advance in devotional service. The answer is that they must act dutifully from the position they are in now. Imitation of higher standards of devotional practice will not help one advance. In fact, such imitative practice usually becomes a disturbance to the devotional community. But a simple devotee who accepts his or her level of qualification and acts accordingly will be seen as perfectly situated and will attract the mercy of the Vaishnavas, who will bless him or her to make further advancement. Srila Prabhupada comments in Bhagavad Gita 3:7, a sincere person who follows this method is far better situated than the false pretender who adopts show-bottle spiritualism to cheat the innocent public. A sincere sweeper in the street is far better than a charlatan meditator who meditates only for the sake of making a living. With guidance from Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu, one should fix a regular practice and stick to it, even if it seems minuscule at first. Even a little devotional practice, especially hearing transcendental sound, will gradually expand to fill one's life. For example, adding a small amount of yogurt to even a large pot of milk will transform the entire pot of yogurt overnight, especially when the milk is kept in a warm environment. Similarly, when we add even a small amount of hearing and chanting to our schedule, all aspects of our life will gradually become spiritualized, especially if we keep ourselves in a devotional environment. Make a vow that you can maintain, and Krishna will inspire and empower you to increase it. So practice should be regular, attentive, goal-oriented, and according to one's personal capacity. The next secret, yes?
I would like you to explain the last one.
You'd like me to explain the last one?
According to one's personal capacity.
According to your capacity.
Because our mind has the amazing capacity to convince us of our own capacity. A lot of times we want to do something.
Well, it could go either way. Your mind could convince you that, that you have a bigger capacity. It could also convince you that you have a smaller capacity. And this is a matter of you have to have guidance. Guidance is important. For instance, when the Chaitanya Charitamrita first came out, some devotees fancied that they invented a system that they would only hear the pastimes of the gopis. And that because they were hearing the pastimes of the gopis and neglecting Bhagavad Gita and everything else, they would make more advancement than everyone else. That was a concoction. And when Prabhupada heard about it, he dissuaded them from doing that and said that you should go on hearing Bhagavad Gita, and incidentally, if you hear from these other topics, you can do that, but you're not qualified at this point to exclusively hear about just the pastimes of the gopis and so on. And that was a guidance that he gave to those devotees at that time. And so we have to find out through our through good guidance what is the proper kind of practice and amount of practice that we should be engaged in. For instance, the whole idea of devotional service as given by Rupa Goswami, the first three elements he says that are vital for advancing in devotional service. Adau Guru Vashrayam. He said in the very beginning, you should take shelter of a guru. That means somebody who's already heavy with the practice. And you take shelter there. Adau Guru Vashrayam, so Dharma Pritcha. Then you should inquire. You should make inquiries. Am I doing it right? How should I do it more? How should I do it less? And so on. And then he says, then one should also accept the initiation to that a spiritual connection, and take guidance how to move forward in the process of devotional service. And in that way, and also through when one's becoming more mature, one can understand how to regulate one's own devotional practice.
Because as I look around and I see a lot of advanced devotees who have taken initiation, who've been in the system for years and years, and you watch their sadhana and you see their dedication to certain methodology that they have in performing their service. And sometimes it just seems you keep looking for something that fits what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
It may be small, but it has to be something that you can perform without feeling the weight of it. It needs to be something that can be done again. And I wonder...
Bhaktivinoda Thakur says it's like climbing a ladder. And you put your foot on the rung that you can reach. And when you feel your foot is firmly on that rung, then you go for the next one. And then you go for the next one. As soon as you're situated on the next level, you can move up to the next. And he also points out that one, if you try to do more, then you can fall back more than you're qualified for. He also says if you try to do less, then you're also, there's two sides to being artificial. One is trying to do more and the other is trying to do less. Hridayananda Maharaj has often pointed out that, like if you go to a gym and say, the first time you walked into a gym to work out and you say, give me the 500-pound weight. That's artificial. But if you go in there and you say, give me the number 2 pencil, that's all I'm going to lift is a number 2 pencil. That's also artificial on the other side. So Krishna says to Uddhava, Swe Swe Adhikariya Nishta Saguna Parikirtita. You have to find your adhikari, what's your qualification. And you can do that through guidance. In fact, when you come into the association of devotees, you can, and if you take shelter somewhere, someone to guide you, then you can, get an idea. What is my service? How to regulate my service, and so on, so I'm doing it in a proper way. And sometimes people start on a small level, but a steady level. And someone said, somebody they're taking shelter from says, start off with 1 round. Do it every day, no matter what. And they come back in 3 weeks and say, okay, I missed 3 days. And, okay, keep going. And then they get up to 4 rounds and so on. Just with various types of service, there's a way in which you can regulate it and then step up the ladder gradually. And you do step up the ladder. Krame. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that the Kanishta Adhikari becomes an Uttama Adhikari, step by step. How? By chanting. He says if you continue chanting Hare Krishna, regularly practicing this, chanting Hare Krishna, the Kanishta Adhikari, the beginner, becomes an Uttama Adhikari, becomes the highest level devotee. Otherwise, why are we doing this? If someone says, well, you can't come to the highest stage, then, well, why? Why would we practice it then? If there's no success ratio in this at all, what is the point? Okay, so practice is there, and then the next category is keep the vibration going. This is a good mantra. Keep the vibration going, because this is the quintessential instruction given by Rupa Goswami that there's all these rules and regulations, all this counting practice and so on, but he says out of all the different kinds of practice and rules and regulations, there are 2 main principles. And all the other principles are servants of these 2 main principles. And one is always remember Krishna, ARK, A-R-K. And the other one is never forget Krishna, N-F-K. So you can text someone next time and say ARK. ARK. So ARK means always remember Krishna, and then never forget Krishna. And the best way to do that is to always keep the vibration going. If you want to know how to remember Krishna always, have the vibration going. There's Srimad Bhagavatam, there's Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's you have neck beads, tilak, bead bag, iPhone. If you don't have an iPhone, go get one. Jayananda will sell you one. No? Okay. So we'll get you one. And put everything on there that you can. That's why they were invented. That's why Steve Jobs took the trouble to come out with the iPhone, is so you can keep the spiritual vibration going. What's the use of listening to 1 million songs? Who can listen to 1 million songs? But you can listen to 1 million bhajans and 1 million lectures and so on. You really can. The ears, although they have a small hole going in, they enter into an area that's bigger than the sky. And it'll never fill up. You can keep putting more and more in there. And the more you do that, the more you advance in devotional service. Simple principle. So if you want to know, do I have contact with Krishna? Am I making advancement in devotional service? The answer is, if you're keeping the vibration going, yes, you're making advancement. Even if you don't realize it right now, it will have its effect. It's so powerful, spiritual sound, that it will come back to you. And you'll realize later that you did yourself a favor. God helps those who help themselves. Prabhupada said, helping oneself means putting oneself in front of transcendental sound vibration. You want to help yourself? Get next to the vibration. Just if you can barely move your body, somehow or other position yourself near where the vibration's coming from and just plop yourself down and just be there with it, with the vibration, and you're making advancement. Keep the vibration going. We need shelter at every moment. There's no second that we don't need shelter. Full tank of gas, full bank account. I feel healthy. I took my vitamin. I don't need shelter right now. That's illusion. We're actually at every second we need shelter. We can slide off the leaf and lose the position that we have in the material world is not guaranteed. So at every second we should feel this need for shelter and keep the vibration going. Also realize and cultivate this knowledge that Krishna is non-different from his name. I saw earlier when I was talking about this point that when Lord Nrsimhadev put his hand on Prahlad Maharaj's head, and the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is not different from that. You're saying Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And Lord Nrsimhadev's placing his lotus hand on Prahlad Maharaj's head. There's no difference. You're in the same contact. Cultivate that. And when you chant Hare Krishna, realize this is what I'm doing. I'm associating directly with Krishna. Remember that difficult things become easy when you remember Lord Chaitanya, and easy things, and vice versa. And difficult things become easy, difficult becomes easy, and easy becomes difficult if you forget Lord Chaitanya. And if you want to know more about the subtleties of that, read the story in the Antya Lila of his name just went out of my head. He was placed on the Changa. Gopinath Patanyayaka. It's a very difficult story to understand, but it deals with the potencies of Lord Chaitanya. Okay, the number 6 principle is overcome weakness of heart. And Prabhupada talks about this in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, last verse. And in the purport, he says that in order to advance in spiritual life, one must overcome weakness of heart. Weakness of heart is W-O-H, woe. So, first thing is that we have to make voluntary life changes. You have to realize that you have volition and that advancing in spiritual life is voluntary. And you have to observe what kind of voluntary life changes, VLCs, that you can make on a regular basis. And by doing that, you can overcome gradually weakness of heart by incremental improvements. Next is inspirational sadhana, and that is never go a day without getting some inspiration from your practice, from your spiritual practice. You have to have some experience, something that changes you, something that makes you feel the touch of the divine, of Krishna's hand in your life by practicing your sadhana. That is chanting Hare Krishna and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, especially those things early in the morning. If you do them attentively, strictly, seriously, and sincerely, you'll get something. Even if you don't feel like you're doing it at the time, if you give your full energy to these practices, you'll get something. And that something is so powerful that it will give you the ability to control your senses, overcome obstacles, deal with stressful situations, and to move forward in your spiritual life and overcome the weakness of heart that is inherent because of contact with the lower modes of material nature. Next is gratitude. Cultivate gratitude, because by having gratitude and appreciation for what you have now in devotional service, that Krishna is very kind. Everyone say Krishna is very kind. That is a fact. Krishna is very kind. He's the most kind. He's our best friend. And if I appreciate what I have now, like this human body is a great gift. The Srimad Bhagavatam says, "Labvam sudurlabam idam bahusambhavante." You've gained something that nobody else gets, and it's a gift given to you with the facility to go back home, back to Godhead. If you're in jail and you're in for life, and then somebody gives you a ticket and says, "Here, you can get out," how grateful will you feel? If you suddenly see that, there's an end to this, I can be free, someone opens the door for you, how should you feel? And realize this is just a short span that we have in this lifetime, and feel grateful for the opportunity that we have for going back home, back to Godhead. Feel grateful for the Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna spoke it for us, for the Srimad Bhagavatam, the sages at Naimasaranya, Shukadeva Goswami, Narada Muni. They all conspired to pass down these powerful messages just for our own rectification and edification, so that we can experience the highest bliss of life. Have gratitude for these things, and if you can cultivate gratitude for these things, you'll be able to overcome weakness of heart. Weakness of heart is like a little spoiled child, in a way that no matter what you give him, he's not happy. And when you're able to develop gratitude for what you have, and at the highest level is what we talked about before. If you have gratitude for the miseries that come into your life, you're practicing genuine spiritual life. Miseries come to you, reverses, something's taken away, and although I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying if you have the wherewithal to develop this attitude that, okay, it came in, this came to me, and now I'm accepting it as Krishna's mercy. It may not come right overnight, but as we cultivate it, and that's our intention, to see that as Krishna's mercy in our life, this is genuine spiritual life. And this is actually the process of overcoming weakness of heart, that spoiled child who wants to be the victim. And I'm victimized by the material nature, by everything around me. Don't have time. Any questions, because I'm ending at 8. Sorry. We'll take them later. And the last one, an overcoming weakness of heart, is don't harbor motives. Motives are like fugitives. Or say you open the door in the morning to see if it's raining or not, and a cobra slides in your house. Nilesh, you're not going to leave him in there, right? It's like, Neelam, he went behind the couch, and it's like, it's all right, he's back there, it's no big deal. You won't leave him in the house. Cobra comes in the house, you'll move heaven and earth and all the furniture and everything else to make sure that he goes out before you take rest at night, right? Because you don't want him cozying up to you while you're sleeping. It's just a cobra. So in the same way, a material motive that we allow to come into the core of our heart, some kind of motive, don't let it stay. Move heaven and earth, move all the furniture around in your heart, whatever you have to do, and get help. Seek help, and find out how to get that cobra out of your heart, so that it doesn't come and bite you, because it always does. And that's why Prabhupada talks about weakness of heart and how you have to rectify it in order to move forward in spiritual life. Because the whole process is from inside out. It's what's in the core of your heart. What is your actual motive that weakens or strengthens you in devotional service? If you have a pure motive, you have nothing to lose. And if you have some material motive, then you're attached to the material world. It means that you can be bought and sold. But if you can't be bought and sold because you only have one motive, and that's to go back to Godhead, you can't be touched by anything or by anyone. And that's the most valuable thing to have, is a purity of heart, no motive, and freedom from this weakness of heart. There's nothing more valuable. Everyone else is bought and sold in the material world until we can actually surrender to Krishna in our heart and use our life in his service. Om Tat Sat. So we've come to the end of our session, and we're going to put all the books and asanas away. We're going to have Artik in about 30 seconds. So thank you very much, everyone. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanande Haribo. So let's as efficiently and as quickly as possible put all the books away and the asanas. And we're going to stand up and start Artik in about 25 seconds now. Hare Krishna.
How are you?
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyarishatarine Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Raroti Koshoba. We need a couple of certified Kartalis, please. May we have a couple of certified Kartalis, please? Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Raroti Koshoba. Janavi Tatavane Jagamana Loba Jaga Jana Mana Loba Gaurangera Rotik Shobha Jagajana Mana Loba Gaurangera Rotiko Shobha Jagajana Mana Loba Haribol, 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 Thai God, Haribol. Dake Neni Thai Chan, Bamega Dadhara. Kate Advaita Srini Vaschatradara Você Ache Gaurachan Ratna Singhasane Arati Korena Brahma Adi Deva Gane Nara Hari Ari Kori Chamara Dhulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Basu Goshari Gaya Shankar Baje Khanta Baje Baje Karatala Madhura Mridanga Baje Paramarasala Madhur 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 Baje Madhur 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 Baje Shankha Baje Kanta Baje Madhur 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 Baje Shankha Baje Kanta Baje Madhur 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 Baje Madhur 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 Baje Madhur 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 Baje Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol inside God Hari Bol Bahu Koti Chandra Dini Vadana Ujvala Gala Deshe Vanamala Kore Jhalamala Shiva Shukanarara Preme Gada Gada Akati Vinodha Dekhe Gaurada Sampada Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sai Gaura Haribol, 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 Sai Gaura Haribol. Sai Gaura Haribol, 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 Sai Gaura Haribol. Go Premanande. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrajagacharya Ashtotarashta Shishimara Bhai Charanara Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrajagacharya Ashtotarashta Shishimara Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Gaudiya Vaishnavindi Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gogopi Na Sham Kund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki. Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki. Shri Jagannath Puri Ki. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki. Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki. Samabeta Bhakta Vrinda Ki. All glories to some of the devotees. All glories to some of the devotees. All glories to some of the devotees. Gaur Premanande Haribol. Namaste Narasingaya. Prahlalada Dadayine. Hiranyakashipur Vakshaha. Shilatanka Nakalaye. Ito Nishingha Parato Nishingo. Yato Yato Yamitato Nishingha. Bahira Nishingo Ridaye Nishingo. Nishingabading Sharanam Prapadye. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasinghaya. Namaste Tejase Aviravir Bhava Vajranaka Vajradamshra Karmasayan Randaya Tamo Grasa Om Svaha Abhayam Atmani Bhuishta Om Shram Vagisha yasya varane lakshmir yasya chavakshasi yasyaste hridaye samvit tam nashinga maham bhaje prahlada hridayaladam bhaktya vidya vidaranam shadarindur chimbande parindra varanam harim Shri Nashinga Jai Nashinha Jai Nashinha Pralada Desha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa Ugro Pyanugrevayam Sabhaktanam Rikeshari Keshari Vasapotanam Anyesha Muga Vikramaha Tavakara Kamala Varena Kamaduta Shingam Dalita Idanyakashi Putanu Bingam Keshavadhrita Nadahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Tavakara Kamala Varena Kama Shinga Tavitairanyakashi Utarubinga Keshavadhita Jaya Nishingadev, 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 Jaya Nishingadev. Shri Shri Lakshmi Nishingadev ki, Sriman Mahaprabhu ki, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ji ki, Go Premanande, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Welcome back to Wednesday night Gita class. And are there any new guests here tonight for the first time? Our friend, you feel like the first time, right? Anubhav in the back. You can pass him the microphone, because if you'd introduce yourself, just tell us where you're from and how you got here.
I'm Anurag. I'm doing masters at Stanford University. I'm basically...
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm basically from Jabalpur, Madhya Pradesh, India.
Very happy to have you. Thank you for coming. Hare Krishna. Okay, anyone else here for the first time or feels like it's their first time? Hopefully that's everybody. Welcome back, everyone. And this weekend we have we're having a class here on Saturday morning, and then there's a Sunday program where we are hearing good news from all over the country, from devotees who have been busily engaged in the end of the year marathon to distribute books. We had set a goal at the beginning of the year with the temple presidents, suggesting that we work as a team in North America, that is all over America and Canada, Can-Am, to reach a certain goal, which would be 20% increase, which is verifiable and measurable by how much Lakshmi, cash, actually comes into the BBT by the end of the year. And we did it. Not only did it, we smashed it. Final score was 28.6% increase overall in America. It's one of the biggest years in 25 years. And that just goes to show, once again, that goals are potent. So you set the goal, then the mind starts working towards it. And it's been a phenomenal year for book distribution in America. And that was Prabhupada's prime interest. He wanted to hear the scores. And every time we brought him scores and big increases, he said, double it. We're just saying 20%, you know. But doubling is a big deal. Tonight's cooks, we've kept under wraps all day long, but we've finally going to reveal who the day's cooks are. Yashoda Kumar and Nitya Navina. Let's give them a hand. Are there other announcements tonight? Huh? Yesterday. Hare Krishna to you, Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna, dear Swati Mataji. Hare Krishna to you.
2012 has been a very, very good year for me, and I'm sure 2013 will be even better with all of your association and blessings. Thank you.
Wait. You're a Bhakti Shastri student, right?
Yes.
So when Bhakti Shastri students have a birthday and they give a speech, they have to give at least just one shloka. Either in Sanskrit or English.
I'm forgetting even what I know.
Or even just that, we're not interested so much in verbatim, but just a shloka that means something to you.
Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhya mokshasyami mahasucha.
And tell us, what does it mean to you? Why did you pick that shloka? Why is it?
Because it's I think Krishna put it at the end of Bhagavad Gita, summarizing everything he has said. That is the only one way, and like you said, a shortcut, which make us go to him. So we have to surrender, full surrender. So I mean, it's very meaningful, and towards the end, I think he just put everything in one shloka.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah. See, on your birthday, you're supposed to give charity. So that's the greatest kind of charity, to give spiritual knowledge to others, and that's what Swati has given us tonight by giving us that shloka. Thank you very much.
Sorry about that, Prabhuji. I'm so excited. I was just thinking that Swati just demonstrated how to major in the major thing.
Major in major things. Yeah, that's right. Correct. Very nice. Yes, we'd like to welcome Srinivas Prabhu back. Is it coming from somewhere in North America? I see Srinivas wherever I go. Ito Nrsimha Srinivas Nrsimho. So where were you coming from? Boston?
No, actually I am coming from Asia.
Where? Malaysia. Abakabar. Abakabar. It's Malaysian. Abakabar. Kabar Bhai. You don't speak Malaysian?
No, I went to Asia.
Which part of Asia?
India and Thailand.
Thailand. Sawadee-ka. Sawadee-ka. Okay. Welcome back. Happy to see you. Kabkum Ka. Any other good news? So we're going to say the Prasadam prayer, but before we do, we'd like to hear what it means. So we'll take a volunteer to give us the essential meaning of the prayer we say before we take Prasadam and why we say it. Damodar Siddhari Prabhu will tell us the meaning of this prayer, and he'll give us a little bit of the bhav behind it.
So what we do is when we offer food to Krishna and then take prasadam, it's tasted by Krishna and it's sanctified and purified by Krishna. So whatever then we get it as a mercy from Krishna or Lord Gauranga. So which is another form of Krishna. So when we are offering the foodstuff and taking and honoring, not taking, it's honoring the prasad. It's again like a devotional service, and what we are trying to do is it's again like a chanting. When you have an offered prasadam, it actually, and the prayer goes like that, and I'll get into details. Sharira avidya jal. This body is nothing but a network of senses of ignorance. Avidya jal. Jodindiya tahe kal. And jive fele vishaya sagore. And this is vishaya sagore. I'm just trying to. So this body is a network of ignorance, And I need little help. Tara made jivaiti, lobo mohe sudurumati, take jeta kathina samsare. So when we take this, I'm just giving now. I will not try to translate, but when we take this, it's like a mercy from Krishna, and when we have this, it purifies our senses, and it's Krishna is very merciful, and he's being merciful to all the jiva souls, and with this form as a prasad, he is trying to distribute this mercy to all the living souls. Say Annam Mrita Pao, whosoever is going to get this nectar in the form of Anna, which is food grains, Radha Krishna Guna Pao, he will attain the blessings and qualities of Shri Radha and Krishna. Preme Dako Shichen, and he will attain the prema from Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Nitai, and Nityanand. Ekadina Shantipur, one day in Shantipur, where Advaita Acharya Prabhu used to live, Prabhu Advaita Gare, in the house of Advaita Acharya, Dui Prabhu Bhojane Bosilo. Dui means two. Both the Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, they sat together and had the food, had the prasadam. Shakkori Ashwadana. Lord Chaitanya used to like vegetables from green leafy vegetables. Shak, which is sag, we call it palak, And Shakkori Aswadana, that was favorite food for Lord Gauranga. We should also like that. Prabhu Bole Bhaktagana, and then he told to all the assembled devotees who were there, Shak Krishna Aswadilo, Lord, take this small, food stuff which is available. Heno Shak Aswadane, Krishna Prema Aise Mane. By having this, prasadam, you will get the mercy of Krishna. Se preme koro ashwadana. Get this with love. Basically they are together and getting it. Jada buddhi parihari prasada bhojana kori. By having this sanctified food, prasadam, by honoring this, your buddhi, intelligence will get more closer to Krishna. And then, let's say Hari Hari Bolo Sarvajana. Let's all chant the names of Hari Hari, that is Krishna. Bhaire is again a kind of a request to all. Sachi Angane Kabhu, Madhvendriya Puri Prabhu, Prasad Anna Korena Bhojana. So, in Sachir Angane Kabhu, I think in the house of Sachi Mata, Madhvendra Puri is again part of our parampara, Guru of Ishwar Puri. Prasad Anna Korena Bhojana. So, Mata is preparing the food for Madhvendra Prabhu. Khate Khaite Tara Ailo Prema Sudurba. When we honor this food stuff or prasadam, Ailo Prema Sudurba, Bole Suno Sanyasiya Gana. That's all the elevated souls are talking, that when they have honor this food stuff, they get, Mocha Ganta Fula Badi, Dahi Dalna Chachadi. These are different kinds of food stuff. Dahi, Dalna, Chachadi, Sachi Mata Kolyo, and Mother Sachi is preparing it with a lot of love and devotion. Tara Shuddha Bhakti Heri, Bhojana Korilo Hari. And then she is offering it, with love and purity and devotion. And she is requesting the Lord to come and take this. Suddha Sama E Anna Bhanjana. And when the Lord takes it, it becomes purified. Yogi Yogi Pai Jaha Bhoge Ajhabe Taha Hari Bole Kaho Sabhe Bhai. And this is how the yogi attains what he is looking for. And let's honor, I'm cutting short, let each of us chant the names of Hari Boli. Let's everybody chant the name of Hari, and then let's honor this prasadam. Krishna Prasad Anna Tri Jagat Kore Dhanya. There's no one more better, anything better in this world than this Krishna Prasad. Tripurari Nache Jahan Paya. Where Tripurari, which is Lord Krishna, has, Lord
Shiva.
Lord Shiva, sorry. Nache Jahan Paya. Okay, thank you. Mahaprasade Govinde Nam Brahmani Vaishnave Swalpa Punyavattam Rajan Vishwaso Navajayate. I think
Lord Shiva dances when he gets it, right?
Lord.
I mean, there's a whole story about him getting Mahaprasad, and he was dancing in so much ecstasy that he almost destroyed the whole world.
Wow.
And his wife had to calm him down, and then she said, "Why are you dancing so much?" He said, "From Narada, I got some Mahaprasad."
Wow.
And she said, "Where's mine?" He said, I didn't save you any." And she became very angry, and so Mahaprabhu actually appeared at that time. Premonition that he would appear in this age, and he said, "Then when you come in Kali Yuga, you should give prasad to everybody. Don't discriminate. Give it to, men, women, animals, low class, high class. Everybody should get Mahaprasad."
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Go ahead.
I didn't know this.
Tripurari Nache Jayapai. Yeah, it's Lord Shiva takes a little Mahaprasad and then he just goes into ecstasy dancing. Yeah.
So, each of us honoring Mahaprasadam, and then what we say is we don't say that I am eating food. We call it honoring the prasad. It should be taken in a very humble state of mind. It is as good as, like having something which is tasted by Krishna. Again, it's another way of engaging our tongue. So we should talk nicely, and then we should also eat only sanctified, our food stuff which are offered to Krishna. So when we do this is like, our intelligence, we are focusing more and more activities towards more in Krishna consciousness. So which we are looking for is jiva, which tongue is when we engage our tongues in eating only Krishna prasadam, then gradually all the sins which are coming associated with eating foodstuff reduces. And Prabhu, anything more you want to add? That's where
I would just like to say that was a fantastic presentation. A little more, come on. Now everyone's fully enlivened, ready to take prasad. Let's sing the song and then we'll bring the prasadam. Sharira vijaja jodendriya tahika jibe pile vishaya sagare dharma jai jivayati Loba moy sudurmati take jeta katita samsare Krishna boda doyamoy gori bare jihajay shaprashananda dilobai Sayanamrita Pao Radha Krishna Guna Gao Premetako Shri Chaitanya Nita Ekadina Shanti Pure Prabhu Advaitera Ghare Dui Prabhu Bojane Bosilo Shakori Ashwadana Prabhu Bole Bhakta Gana Esha Krishna Ashwadhilo Heno Shakashwadane Krishna Prema Aishe Mane She Preme Koro Ashwadan Jada Buddhi Parihari Prasara Bhojana Kori Hari Hari Bolo Sarvajan Paire Sachirangani Kabu Madhavendra Puri Prabhu Prasadana Gorena Bojan Kaite Kaite Tara Ailo Prema Sudurba Bole Shunno Sanyasi Ragan Mocha Ganta Pula Badi Dali Dalna Chachari Sachi Mata Gori Lorandan Tara Shudha Bhakti Heri Bojana Kori Lohari Shudha Sama Eyanam Vyanjan Jogi Jogi Pai Jaha Boge Acha Betaha Hari Boli Kausa Beba Vishnera Prasadana Shri Jagat Kori Dhanya Shipurari Nache Jahapa Shri Purari Nache Jahapa Ma Prasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Sapa Punyavatam Rajan Vishwaso Navajayat Prasade Sarvatikana Manirasyo Pajayate Prasanna Chetaso Yashu Buddhi Paryavatistate Bhagavat Shri Ma Prasade Ki Go Premanande Nitai Gaurari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaurari Bol Hari Sankirtan Ramananda Saka. I just want to see if there are opportunities tonight for anyone that would like to clean. Do you have opportunities open tonight or not? You'll accept 3 people and only 3. He runs a tight ship. Okay, so he'll allow 3 people the sacred duty of helping to clean right after Prasadam. Thank you very much. 1, Jainanda 2. Triti's hired. Anyone else? Oh, thank you very much. Okay, so 3 devotees. Please come take prasadam, Haribol. And how are you serving tonight? Inside, okay. No picnic area open tonight. Just right here inside the building. You can line up and we'll bring the prasad in. Thank you, Hare Krishna. 2 newcomers. Welcome. Thank you very much for coming. Would you introduce yourself while they're bringing the prasad out?
Hi, I'm Harini. We moved from Seattle to here like pretty recently, like a week or so back. So we thought we wanted to look for Hindu temples around. We saw this place and we thought we'd come by. It was really great meeting everyone here. It's really good.
Thank you for coming. Hare Krishna. Damodar? He's gone? He stepped out. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
We request everybody to please sit in a line so that we can serve. And we need 2 servers if available. Thank you.
everydaychant.com. Service. Mid-morning Japa session, which is from 7 o'clock our time to 8 o'clock our time. And since I actually met her in the chat call at 5:30, so she comes for our chat call. And then it's been very nice. So she wanted to know if we can utilize that in the ISV group also, so people can just join in and chant.
the ISV group could just join that instead of doing our chant call?
No, not chant call. This is chant.
Yeah.
Chanting will be from 7 o'clock our time to 8 o'clock our time.
Sure, if you recommend it, if you think it's a good call and it's well designed, then the
Yes,
devotees
actually,
can join it if they like.
Yeah, HG Prabhu is the one who actually designed it mainly.
Okay.
And yeah.
Oh, I'm giving that good idea. No harm in it.
Very well, Prabhuji.
Sunday. It's up here. Neela? Yeah. Oh, okay. Neela. I can help cook on Sunday. Yeah, what time? Okay. Yeah. I think I can be here.
There's an opportunity for all the grapes.
Oh, okay. That's a great idea. They give me spoon.
You 3 spoons for give me a cartridge, I'll keep 3 books in there.
Give me now.
You don't want to. I will take that. I have so much food. When did you start? Did you start Some things we don't know. We only absorb that feeling. I don't want this to become another Alhambra. No, just take quickly on after some time, I went to India and came back and said, big trouble with that. I had talked to him before I left. I said, rounds, which one rounds? Flight पे चढ़ते ही पहला अब 8 rounds पे हो रही हूँ. I'm doing नहीं होता ना, when you drop it, you go back to one. And you learn it's a long road. really felt like एक बुलावा लगा मुझे. I wanted to ask.
Anyway, they made it a complete surprise to me.
If you want clarity, एक point के बाद you
no two boxes, right? Isn't there? Yeah.
उनको मन में लगा कि मैं सोचूंगी ऐसे नहीं करना चाहिए उनको बिना बताए we should not place him in that position. हाँ मुझे भी नहीं पता. हाँ हाँ बात सही. अरे मैं जहाँ पे हूँ नहीं मुझे